Mama, you never told me how we must treat them when they come here. I'm waiting for a signal, ma. Mama. Nomzamo. Mama Nomzamo.
The EFF will never declare anywhere a no-go area. And number two, South Africans must be able to be politically tolerant. We've made this message very clear that we're tolerant, everybody must be tolerant, and we must all campaign under free conditions. We believe in the strength of our message. We believe in nothing else. We don't believe in guns in order to make our message clear, and we've campaigned like that everywhere. There won't be violence from the EFF anywhere in the country.
Bring back the archives.
Old videos. Yeah. I raised everything I'm talking about now. I raised it in the ANC. In the conference where I was re-elected president of the Youth League 2011, all these issues I'm raising are official resolutions of the ANC Youth League. Nationalization of the Reserve Bank, nationalization of mines, establishment of state bank, free quality, decolonized education, all of that. I raised it in the ANC. You go to FNB and listen to me speaking, Zuma sitting at the back and everybody else at Johannesburg Stadium with President Mandela being there, me speaking. I raised all of these issues. I was not leading a political party. I was not asking for votes. I was just raising these matters as matters of principle. So the point I'm making is, if you have not been compromised, why would we be scared? Leave the economy and everything. A statue of a murderer. Every town in the whole of South Africa, small or big, has got a statue honoring apartheid generals. And Mugabe said, you can't tell me about South Africans are even scared to hit a statue of a white person. That's how much we are so compromised. So we need a new generation, which is not part of those commitments. We don't owe Kodesa anything. We don't know what these guys discussed. They've had their 30 years to deliver on the product. We're a new generation with new challenges, and we cannot dare to Kodesa minutes which we don't have.
We've let down some campuses that were won last year. We have a responsibility to now go back and rebuild where we've lost ground, but we've broken new ground as well. And I think the message we're really sending out there is that the EFF SC is always there at the beginning of the year. When students need to access, education because of registration, the EFF SC is always fighting for students for student accommodation, funding crisis, problems with the national funding scheme. So we're saying to the students of South Africa, let's remember those people who were with us in our trying times. Let us not be excited about ministers who only want to show up during SRC elections, but they're not there at the beginning of the year. Let us not be excited about T-shirts, because a T-shirt is not going to get you accommodation next year. A T-shirt is not going to get you registration. A T-shirt is not going to clear your student debt. So we're running a different campaign to say that these are the issues that are going to transform and change the lives of students in South Africa. Let's rally behind the EFF SC. So this week we've got UJ. Let's vote EFF SC at UJ. We've got UKZN. We've got University of Venda coming up. We've got Waterberg TVET College. It's a very busy week. We've got UWC also coming near. So yeah, we're busy. We're all over. And we're saying students of South Africa must vote for the EFF Students Command.
I can't even see my price today. Niggas been thinking for eyes today. Never been thinking my price today. Life season me. I cannot think about scrutiny. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. Life season me. I cannot think about scrutiny. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. I don't smoke.
What it is isn't what would always be. Life Seasons. My name is Lee. Welcome all to Life Seasons TV. So today on this session of Life Seasons TV, I am joined by an activist, a philosopher and a speaker, Kganki N. Mphahlele. My man, I would like to welcome you officially to Live Seasons TV. It's been a long while coming.
No, thanks very much. Thanks very much, comrades. My name is Kganki N, member of the EFF Students Command, in good standing from the University of Limpopo branch, and I'm glad to be in the apartheid city of Pretoria.
What do you mean apartheid? This is democracy. This is democracy.
The democratic name is Tshwane. Apartheid is a colonial. I mean, Pretoria is a colonial name.
Oh,
but we're happy to be here nonetheless.
There's inclusivity, most.
No. I mean, this is our land. This is our land, and we're unapologetic about it.
The land.
The Freedom Charter was very wrong to say the land belongs to all those who work on it. It was supposed to go back to whoever it was taken away from, so that this can be rightfully be called Tshwane. And the colonial settlers, when they come here, they do what we do.
You're still pushing segregation, most.
We're not pushing segregation. We're just saying people are supposed to get what it belongs to them, because you can't go to Britain today and say you want to take the land. It belongs to the king and the queen, the Windsor family, the House of Windsor. There is no black man who can go there and say he's taking it, let alone even a black man or any other white man who can say they are taking away the British land from the House of Windsor.
No, to so many things that we can engage about. 2024 happened on the 29th of May. You went to elections, and you didn't do quite well as the EFF Economic Freedom Fighters. Instead of increasing, you dropped to get 9% of the votes in South Africa and overall. So, and the source said majority of the people who didn't vote for the EFF SC, for the EFF precisely to say, it's women. So I just want to know, hence we are going to the NPA that will be there on the 12th to the 15th. How can you maybe accommodate women in the revolution in the EFF?
Accommodation of women in the revolution, it's a very, very historical question because of the issue of affirmative action. I mean, if you go back to it, you can remember that in 1991, when the ANC was unbanned in 1990, they held their first ever legitimate conference. And in that conference, there was the battle of ideas to say, at least it must be adopted as a conference resolution to say 80% of the NEC must be women. And it was a very, very contested argument. Some people said in the revolution, we don't judge you as women, we judge you as ANC members. So even when we elect people into the NEC, we must elect them as ANC members and not as men, not as women. So, but equally, we understand that because of affirmative action, not to say women must be incorporated, because to say incorporate them is as if we're making them a favor. We're simply requesting for a robust participation of women in the revolution, so that when we identify comrades on the ground who are fit and capable and equal to the task, we find ourselves in identifying women as much as we're identifying men.
So what are the initiatives are you willing to do as the EFF to welcome women initially?
I mean, as a member of the EFF Students Command who spent time in the politics of the Students Command more than of the EFF, I can tell you in good faith, by the way, that the Students Command constitution says when we go to conferences, at least 50+1 of the leadership must be women. And I can also tell you that in our parliament, the last time I checked, we had more women than men. So you can tell that if there is anyone who's going to come here and say women are not represented in the EFF, that should be a witch hunt. And it cannot be characterized as anything beside a witch hunt. Women in the EFF are being appreciated. It's just that we know that in the political field and in the workforce, we just have an issue of not having women. And those are some, I should say, conservative views of saying comrades just want to preserve the status quo, but in the EFF we are doing very, very well in terms of women.
We saw a lot of activists leaving the EFF SC as well, and including the EFF joining Umkhonto we. Do you find Umkhonto we as the new threat in the political arena as the EFF and the EFF SC?
You know, I'm one of those comrades who are saying the progressive caucus is progressive, and I'm saying there should be no member or no parties of the progressive caucus who go around fighting each other. And I'm very, very clear on this call to say Umkhonto we remains a threat on the ballot. Lenin wrote a document in 1917 called On Compromises to say, in this revolution we can compromise anything, but we must never compromise principle. And you don't want to find ourselves insulting each other, going to war. That is even barbaric and some sorts of things, simply because we are fighting on who belongs to a certain party. For as long as we represent the same thing on paper and on the ground, unlike with the ANC who say we are a socialist party, but on the ground they are neoliberal in approach. So I'm one of those comrades who are very clear to say the deputy president left. Advocate Vusiwe Mkhwebane just announced today that she's going to resign her membership in the EFF and equally in parliament. Whether she goes to MK, whether she goes to AU, whether she goes to UN, we must never insult anyone, especially if she goes to MK. If comrades choose the MK, there is a reason why they do that. And that's a personal reason. And if it's personal like that, to us revolutionaries, for as long as MK is not selling out the black left agenda on the ground, we're fine with that.
So how did you feel when Floyd Shivambu, like you heard in the brief meeting that Floyd Shivambu will be joining the Umkhonto weSizwe? How did you feel?
I didn't blame him. I mean, because, you know, the problem with comrades from the EFF, they say, hey, the men betrayed Wahoo, whoever betrayed the commander-in-chief or what. The revolution cannot be centralized or individualized towards the commander-in-chief. If Floyd Shivambu left the EFF to join DA, I was going to say Floyd sold the revolution, because you are leaving a revolutionary party to a reactionary party. But he left the EFF to go and join what? The Umkhonto weSizwe party, which is another revolutionary party.
So actually not happy with the response that Sihle Lonzi gave on Floyd Shivambu.
Absolutely, it's politically it's counter-revolutionary, that response, because now if you check those tweets, the screenshots that were posted there, Sihle Lonzi is kind of exposing a lot of things that are not supposed to even be exposed, and a lot of things that are going to make the process of the EFF so much questionable, because you hear them talking about elective conferences. Hey, I installed you, I made you a president, this and that. And then you have also the former provincial chairperson of Limpopo, Komisa Chilzimarag, who just left to join Umkhonto weSizwe party. She goes to a media and says the conferences in the EFF are nothing but a PR stunt. That is to say they are manipulated. So you are legitimizing such a talk. So that's what's up. We can't have Abu Sihle Lonzi, especially as a president of the Students Command. If we are saying the youth are the motive forces of the revolution and the students, you have a president of the Students Command taking such a position on social media where everyone can just keep on attacking people. Another thing about this thing is that you will also get to understand why President Zuma says we're not going to have an elective conference in MK. We are going to have a consultative conference, because we don't want infiltrations. Infiltrations can happen through conferences, and if you have conferences going on like this, what can also happen is that they can easily be infiltrated. You can have a lot of installations. So it was a blunder from the president.
So for him, it was unprofessionally so to even link those screenshots.
It's not only is it unprofessional, it's unpresidential at all. That's an unpresidential thing to do. You can't as a president. I mean, you represent all of us as the head of the students of the revolutionary students.
In his being a president of the Student Command, I think he has won more than even Bompo Morilane, Bo Peter Katie. I mean, he took all majority of the campuses in universities. I mean, in universities, and in 2023 as a whole, he won approximately 18 universities across South Africa. So isn't that maybe a win for the EFF Student Command?
You know, former president of the ANC, Comrade Oliver Tambo, says to us that let us speak the truth, even if the truth coincides with what the enemy is saying. We can't want to. I mean, when the president of the Students Command was elected in the 4th NSA, and he said to us, SRC victories are not decisive victories. There are more decisive victories than SRC victories. We have been winning SRCs before. Pitaki won SRCs, Mandla Shkwamba won SRCs, Mphahlele, who's now a member of the MK party, won SRCs. So we can't be celebrating SRC victories and wanting to translate SRC victories as victories of the CSCT to start with. SRC elections are won from January. When you register students, they know who registered them. When you clear them, they know who cleared them. When you give them food parcels, they know who cleared them. When you give, they know who gave them food parcels. When you give them accommodation, they know who did that. So we can't come and say the CSCT has won SRC elections. No, that's not the case.
The same CIC that said EFF SC is useless in 2019.
Yeah, he said it.
So now he changed it. He's contradicting himself.
He said it. He said that the EFF SC is useless. He said Does the EFF need the EFF Students Command? And the truth of the matter is that yes, the EFF needs the Students Command in a manner that the Students Command is there. We must remember we have 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars, and non-negotiable cardinal pillar number 4 talks about fighting for free quality decolonized education, health and sanitation. That free quality education, that's where you have the Students Command.
Yeah.
And do you have free education in South Africa today? No, you don't. That's where the Students Command must fight. And the legitimacy of the Students Command has to be proven on if they can champion free education to start with, and the rest shall follow.
So you don't believe in government of national unity?
No, it's not a government of national unity. That N stands for neoliberal, because it's a government of neoliberal unity. Because that thing, as per executive, government is led by the cabinet. There are 3 arms of government. It's the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. The executive, they're talking about the cabinet. That cabinet is led by the ANC, as per the president and the deputy president and other members of the cabinet. But at the level of ideas, that cabinet is ideologically led by the DA.
The reason why I'm asking you about the government of national unity, I heard you speak about free decolonized education. So maybe, do you think maybe the likes about DA and the ANC and other political parties that joined the GNU, such as the UDM of Holomisa, don't you think that maybe they can come up with a solution of how to make education free? Because I once heard Lonzi saying, if you are a student and you want allowance, you just have to go to the bank and ask permission to the bank. And then the question then becomes, do you even qualify to have that amount for you to continue with the studies as a student? So don't you think maybe the government of national unity can come about solutions on how to make students, or let me just precisely say, all citizens of South Africa accommodated? Because I saw the ANC was also celebrating the 100 days of GNU.
No, the truth of the matter is that the GNU is not going to find solutions for free education, because the DA, to start with, does not believe in free education. They don't even believe in black people. They are saying NSFAS must be a loan. The moment they start telling you about banks, what they are saying is that there must be a loan there and there. So the loan is going to be paid where? When you work. And before you go to work, you must have your papers. And those papers, before you get them at the university, there must be bills that must be settled for. That's why we said the GNU is ideologically led by the DA, and it's neoliberal in approach. They use trickle-down economics, which is the type of economics that talks about loaning, charging people at interest. They even want to make NSFAS a loan, by the way. And they are saying those who fail a lot, at some point they will no longer get the loan. So what you are saying is that you are kicking a lot of black poor students from working class background out of the system, and systematically or even structurally.
So they're under 100 days of GNU. There isn't much that they have maybe achieved.
100 days of the GNU, I mean, like, I don't see any achievement. I just see populism. The likes of your Gate and Mackenzie, who's even being purported as the third most popular leader, political leader in the country. It doesn't even make sense. GNU is a populist pro-Stellenbosch media based thing. So its 100 days celebration is nothing that matters a lot. It never championed the interest of the poor. It never championed the interest of the working class. It keeps on championing the interest of the markets. So it's a market fundamentalist celebration, that thing. It's called market fundamentalism.
So I heard you saying that in the NPA would be going on from the 12th to the 15th to on Johannesburg precisely. So what are your achievements after that NPA? What is it that you expect that may come out of it?
I mean, the NPA, the theme of this NPA talks about renewal and
defend, rebuild, and advance.
Exactly.
For economic freedom in our lifetime.
I mean, first of all, we are aware that our revolution is under attack. That's why it must be defended, and then the organization must be rebuilt, and then we must equally advance the revolution towards greater heights. Yeah. So that's it's a very, very perfect theme. That's how the conference resolutions or the assembly declarations and resolutions of the third NPA must live up to that theme of saying we must defend, we must rebuild, and we must advance. And by the virtue of that, the best we can do is to build from the grassroots. We saying the EFF Students Command is having issues because we don't have branches now. If you check, we started by winning SRC's campuses last year, but now we lost them. This is due to lack of branches. And some people will say, hey, we are being destructive, hey, we are insulting the organization on social media. It's not an insult, it's the truth, comrades. We must build branches. And even the EFF, if they are serious about defending the revolution and rebuilding, they must build from the grassroots if they want to advance this revolution. Build your branches, solidify them, and then the rest will be history.
You are the person that went live on Facebook, the topic being quest for renewal. And you said Bono, the EFF Student Command member in UNISA, must be expelled in the organization because of what he did 2021. He sold the revolution of the EFF Student Command and gave it to SASCO. So by expelling such cadres of the revolution of the EFF Precise and the EFF SC, how can you then speak about rebuilding?
What we said is it's a very, very legitimate case because the constitution, not even the constitution, the Code of Revolutionary Conduct says you are not allowed to be a member of another political party if you are a card-carrying member of the Students' Command. That thing of UNISA it's a law society. It's not even something that is supposed to be contesting political power. It's an academic structure. So Bono, out of sheer opportunism, used his influence in UNISA and then he took his structure from an academic structure or a social structure, but whatever it is, that is not a political structure, and registered it as a political structure to go and contest political power. So who are you contesting here? You are contesting SASCO, you are contesting Youth League, you are equally contesting your own organization that you are supposed to be campaigning for. And out of that contest, because you couldn't agree with the leadership, out of his own ambitions of leading UNISA and the SRC, the man goes to say, give me this, I will give you this position. I will vote for you when it comes to constitution the SRC. If you don't give me, I will give it to SASCO. Then he sold the revolution, the Students' Command, to SASCO. He took his votes as a card-carrying member of the Students' Command. He gives our votes the votes of those people who voted for that law society to SASCO. When he says, I am a member of the Students' Command, it's like what President Zuma said. I remain a member of the ANC until I die, but I'm going to campaign from Kondoisi's party. You can't say that. One of those two things is wrong. You can't call yourself a member of the Students' Command and you say you are campaigning for Ulargi Ulsa or whatever it is. One of those two things is wrong. You can't. So if we are saying that if Bono breaches the Code of Revolutionary Conduct like that, he must face disciplinary hearing. And that thing, the moment you start decampaigning the organization and campaigning for something else, is counter-revolutionary. That thing is counter-revolution at its highest form.
Julius Malema was going to do the same thing, boss, during the 2024 election. He was going to give the ANC vote if they give Floyd Shivambu Minister of Finance. So what Bono did is equally to what the CIC wanted to do.
No, it's not. It's not. There you are. The Commander-in-Chief, what he's doing here is that it's like it shows cooperation to say we can vote with you, and to vote with you simply means in Parliament when it's time to elect a president, we will raise our hands for Cyril Ramaphosa or whoever president you are bringing, for as long as we are going to get a cabinet post whereby you have former Deputy President Commissar Floyd Shivambu as the Minister of Finance. So it's not a sellout position, that one of Bono. What did Bono give the EFF? Nothing. So what the Commander-in-Chief was proposing is that if we get something, we can also give you something. So Bono gave us nothing, and that ended up putting us where? In the backbenches of the SRC.
Yes, we are recording this on the 16th of October. It is his birthday today. Don't you want to say anything to him, maybe? Bono.
He blocked me on Facebook, so I'm no longer aware. But equally, if he's going to see this.
Is this personal, comrade?
No, it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal, but equally, by the way, young people like us, we don't have political tolerance. We are too young to be understanding. So you can't sell out the revolution and you want us to smile with you. But he blocked me out of personal things. But now I'm not personal with him. And since you are saying it's his birthday, he must grow. He's going to reach the age limit of the Youth Command very soon. So he must
going there as well.
He must go and build branches in Mother Body if he's still a member.
So what's your take about the proposal of the Youth Command?
The proposal of the Youth Command, they are saying they are dissolving the Students' Command and reconfiguring it with the Youth Command in a manner that you are stretching us from campuses to communities.
There's nothing new.
It's a good initiative. No, there is something new because the Student Command was only based where? It was only based in institutions of higher learning. So if you are saying you are building the Youth Command, you are building branches in communities. So we are saying to avoid opportunism. If you are having institutions of higher learning like your University of Technology, you are in what right now? Having have a youth command in TUT main campus and having a youth command at Ward 3, so that you avoid people in Ward 3 having interest here that will end up compromising and selling the revolution. You even have installations, them having interest on who must go to SRC. Things that are very, very far from them. Yes, we agree, students wars are community wars, but there should be where we meet and there should be where we draw boundaries.
In the constitution of the EFF, there is a part whereby they say we are to work hand in hand with the community. So Julius Malema, in his briefings in Johannesburg, he stated the fact that there's nothing new about the youth command. The only thing that would change, it's the name. Equally so, if I can pose you as Lee and remove Kganki, you're still young and a cute young man. So there's nothing new about the youth command initially.
There is everything new, my brother, because the next thing that is going to be happening, these are communities. There are people who own residences, for example. There.
Yeah.
Someone will come and say, this one is my friend. Mm-hmm. If I install him to SRC, he's going to come from the community. If I take him to SRC, he can take care of my accommodation interest. Mm-hmm. So you see, it's opportunism. So we are saying, have branches in your institutions of learning and have branches in wards. Mm-hmm. Let each branches have relative autonomy away from each other, but should be able to cooperate when the time comes. If there is a march outside, let the branch of campus go outside and march. If there is this is why we are saying community wars are students wars. So there should be collaboration, but there should also be boundaries, especially where there are political interests.
So I saw age limit. Is it 30 indeed?
30. It's 30 and we welcome it. This is to say, you know, there are people who are old. You find that an SRC president is 39 years old in a campus. So we want to do away with such opportunism to say this communities must go and build the EFF in communities. We're having our organization is under attack. You have your other parties coming to poach members from us, our young and other parties like the ANC. So these people who have experience of the student command is a very, very good building ground for the EFF. These people who have the student command, what they must do is that they must do what? They must go and build branches and build from the grassroots in communities and leaving a new generation of fresh blood in the students command or in campuses to lead young people. That's what we're saying.
If I can recall, you moved from Limpopo to Johannesburg to do an interview with Titus of the EFF on the EFF podcast, and later on your video wasn't published. Instead, they published the video for the former president of VET, Mukiswa. So I just want to know, hence now there's an EFF Youth Corner. Do you feel that maybe there is an approach of voicing out your voice, or the others that their voices weren't voiced out? So do you think the approach of the EFF Youth Corner that was established yesterday on the 15th of October can be precisely and be able to accommodate young people as you are?
Yeah, that's what the Youth Corner has been designed to do. But one thing that I can tell you is that for as long as in the Students' Command, there is what we call dictatorship of the dominant faction. There are certain voices that are not going to find expression there. For example, why do you have the EFF calling me to come to the headquarters to interview me? I use my own money. I'm not even using NSFAS, by the way. So you should bear that in mind. I use my own money to say no. We're advancing the revolution, we're doing this for the revolution. They go and censor me. And then if you ask their reasons, they say this one is the one who insults leadership. Those who want to sugarcoat things, they say he goes there, he spoke about President Zuma. And about President Zuma, we did speak, but we spoke the truth. So for as long as the dictatorship of the dominant faction is being mistaken as democratic centralism, that Youth Corner is also going to be used as a propaganda channel for those comrades who agree with the leadership. So comrades of the dominant faction are the ones who are going to find expression. We don't want to say a lot of things here, but that's what's up. And we're not bitter. We're not even bitter about us being censored from the EFF podcast, but we just understand.
So don't you feel maybe the constitution says that we are to express ourselves? So don't you feel that right of yours was violated?
Of course it was. Of course it was, and for political reasons. Some would say it's because of my association with my brother, Pastor Mphahlele. Some would say he's the one who's insulting leadership. Some would say it's insulting President Zuma. It's fine. They can do what they want. At the end of the day, they are the ones who are in charge. But they must also be aware that the party is under attack. And they must not continue to attack the party. You know, we can't be having the EFF that is fighting within itself with such things. A podcast is a podcast. So if you are saying someone must not find expression, one or another, it's an own goal, that thing. You are killing the party.
Yeah.
And if you are proud of doing that, just know that as ground forces were not happy with you. And if we get a chance to remove you, we are going to do so within democratic means. And if not through democratic means, then by any means necessary.
I saw one of the comments from Kelvin Temi while the EFF Youth Corner was being premiered yesterday on the 15th of October. He stated that how can this one of the former president of VET be able to be a co-host after not accounting on the reason being she lost the SRC this year. What did she do during his term? So how do you feel about her being there as a co-host?
I told you, dictatorship of the dominant faction is being used to dictate who gets what and who doesn't get what. And by the way, at VETS, we went live and we clarified it. There was this SHEP, the outgone branch chairperson, Comrade Morogoro. He was the one who was supposed to stand as the SRC president. And I'm not going to reveal how he got removed there and who removed Comrade Morogoro. But that was what costed us the elections. Had you had Comrade Morogoro there, we were taking this thing. And equally, you are also correct. Comrade Boogie Swa, who's the former president, is now at the Youth Corner as a co-host. We never got told why did we lose VETS and all those things.
So did you maybe think maybe along the episodes that will be coming up, she will account?
No, she won't.
She won't be asked about it?
She won't.
Why not?
Because we told you, it's the dictatorship of the dominant faction being used to purge, to silence voices.
I'm curious, which factions are you talking about?
It's a faction that is that elected the current NSA, the current
Time and Space.
Yeah, it's this faction called Time and Space, which is supposed to be dissolved if they were disciplined, but they are not.
I saw one of the comments on Facebook, a certain post that said, Mphahlele couldn't see, two giraffes couldn't see the future, that there is something called the Youth Command. And I saw you, one of your posts said, Mphahlele must be the EFF SC president. So now, hence you spoke about age. Do you feel maybe you've been outlined or maybe decentralized?
It's a lie. He knew that it was going to come. By the way, I can tell you something that happened 5 years ago. Person once posted in his Facebook story 5 years ago to say, I'm ready to lead the Youth Command. So if there are those who are going to say the giraffe didn't see this coming, he saw it. And by the way, we also were some of the people who said we wanted the Youth Command. And Mphahlele also spoke about it back then to say it must come. And he said, even on that thing, I think it's whoever posted it. And it's not Bono. Bono blocked me. There is someone else who posted it.
Maybe and then because I saw it on Bono.
I took a screenshot to say this is it. We saw this thing coming. Because it was something that was spoken about ever since last year. By the way, the configuration of the students' mobilization. It was, we saw it that thing coming, and we are rightfully saying Mphahlele must lead young people. Because from age that thing has an age limit of 30 years old. The man is very, very young, by the way. If you launch this thing last year, even next year, and say it must be a 3 years term, by the time his term is over, it'll still be below 30. So there is no one in the country who is below 30 who can match that man at the level of ideas and on the ground. So that is why we are rightfully saying the man must lead young people. And those who are ideologically jealous, they are going to try to stop.
Is he expelled from the EFF SC?
There was a frivolous letter that was sent last year when he went to deliver political education at UJ. You are saying 2023 is the year of massive political education. The man goes to deliver political education at the branch, you expel him for that.
Even this year there was a letter. They said they didn't receive the membership form of +1%.
Oh, by the way, I'm the one who paid for his membership, by the way, at the University of Limpopo, EFF SC branch. And then I submitted it to the provincial chairperson, I think, and also the Commissar Sako was there, the head of elections, this one who goes around losing campuses. He was there.
The one that you said he must join SASCO.
I said he better do that because he's losing campuses. And by the way, this is a man who has presidential ambitions also. So I submitted his membership. The membership goes to auditing at the headquarters. Commissar Kanyabungani, the acting secretary general, brings back a letter to say Mphahlele must go and get his 10 rand. He's not a member. What is that? No member without a DC. No, he's not a member because he delivered political education session. So this thing, comrades, is ideological jealous. It's nothing more. And it's coming from what? Time and space. So now interest of time and space are being presented as if they are interests of the CSCT. It's a lie.
So initially, he is not a member of the EFF SC.
He's a member. We don't recognize that expulsion. There is no one in the country who's sound who can say he recognizes that expulsion. Yesterday he was at Waterberg in Mokopane, TVET College. For the first time in their history, they had a political education session. He delivered it. So if he's not a member, why don't we inform the comrade of the branch leaders of Waterberg to say, delegitimize that program? That man is not a member. So you can see here, it's just in the rest of the dominant faction being presented as in the rest of the CSCT, and that is equally being presented as democratic centralism. The dictatorship of the dominant faction is not democratic centralism. That's what we're saying.
Not to prolong so long in this engagement, I just want to know what are the wins, maybe let's just say in Israel, between Israel and Palestine wins. What are the gains of South African context in Palestine?
The problem with us now is that you have a man on top who's Cyril Ramaphosa, a very, very spineless leader. He goes to the UN in New York, to the United Nations General Assembly. He says Israel is an apartheid state, they must stop oppressing Palestine. But he's doing nothing about that outside that. We went to a march, that's why we got this revolutionary scarves. What we are saying is that if Cyril is clear about the call that he made there in the UN, he must close the embassies of Israel. That's what must happen. So that Israel must be politically suffocated. He must follow President Maduro of Venezuela. He must follow who? There are some president out there. President Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua. Close Israel embassy, cut all diplomatic ties with Israel, boycott all their products. Palestine will end up being free one way or another.
Do you think it's proper sabotage because the DA is with Israel?
It is a sabotage. That is why we also said, as the EFF, we're not going to join a coalition whereby you have the DA part of it. So you can't.
No, it's great. The last question that we always ask on the show is, what would you say to a person at your age and younger than you? What would you say? What motivation would you give? What encouragement would you give to a person at your age and younger than you?
Simple. Avoid drugs and alcohol.
No, that's from me to you. What it is isn't what will always be. This is Kganki and Mphahlele. Thank you for joining. What it is isn't always be. Catch you on the next one.
I can't even see my price today. Niggas been thinking for eyes today. Never been thinking about price today. Life season me. I cannot think about scrutinies. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. Life season me. I cannot think about scrutinies. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. I don't smoke.